The current situation, and I will get very political because I'm a lady who remembers the 80s. I was the tail end of Margaret Thatcher, and it just amazes me what's happening. Now, it doesn't surprise me. I say bring it on those that voted in the local and the current government. Of course, the recession has hit everyone massively. But it may sound a bit weird, but actually I think it's kind of been positive because back in the day when there was a lot more money, the Arts Council could offer more funding. I guess it was a bit more of an exclusive club, but I have noticed in the last couple of years people are more willing to listen to new ideas, new projects. So back in the day when there was the good old punk, there was a lot more people living in squats. Actually, it was a lot, it was an exciting time, and I can sense the essence coming back in because people really are thinking, right, we have no money, but we still want to create, so let's find alternative routes. So I think in a weird way that's kind of been a positive, the political current climate. Obviously the money is not there and people at the same time are running scared. But I don't think it's stopping people inventing, and I think, I think that's my big thing, is just keep creating, keep inventing, keep pushing. So in a weird way, I kind of think possibly revenge attack for those that voted in the government at the moment. It does beg a belief. I guess there's always that argument. You can never argue three nurses against a piece of art or a piece of theatre, but actually you can, and I think, it's stifling. Art is the only power, the only medium we have in this country to actually protest about anything. And, if that's kneecap, then what are we going to do? So I think, and I kind of embrace the French for their for their political stance. Not all, obviously, but the idea that they do really stand up and protest about anything. I think we need a little bit more of that. But going back to the arts, I think, the recession has kind of helped open it up, but obviously the funding's not there anymore, and that is terrifying. So, but for me personally, not that I'm burying my head in the sand, but I'm going to charge through with it and see what happens. Why women's theatre isn't produced that much? I think that's the old adage, actually, that I think people possibly live in fear of women. Women aren't recognised, women aren't taken seriously. It's the big boys, a bit like the chefs. Women is always traditionally seen as the cooks, but actually when it comes down to it, it's always male chefs that dominate the limelight. And it sounds a weird comparison, but I think there's a little bit of that going on with women. I think when women write, they're always accused of putting in too much detail. It makes it too emotional, and possibly that's not seen as something that's going to benefit people in the theatre. But I think, going back to other questions as well, I think whenever you create anything in the arts, you've really got to really consider why the hell you're doing it. Why is there the reason for this theatre? I think without that, why should we be putting this on? Who the hell wants to come and see it? And I think you really need to really consider that. And I think women haven't had a look in because they're just not taken as seriously, sadly. I've recently produced One Flea Spared by Naomi Wallace, the American playwright. She's accused in America of being a political dinosaur, which is actually laughable, and she says bring it on. But actually, in the cold light of day, that's pretty an offensive thing to say to someone of such magnitude, who is the most extraordinary writer. When the company gave me the play to have a read, obviously I knew all about Naomi Wallace, but I mean, she's the most extraordinary writer, and she's very clever because she ties it up in other things to get her message across. But I think, as the great Sam Hall that runs 17% pointed out to me, literally 70% of this country is playwrights that are women, and that needs to be addressed. And I think, I firmly believe, feminism is a dirty word now, but I'm very much of the firm belief that I've never apologised for yourself for being a woman. It kind of should be irrelevant, and I think every woman born post the great 60s era really should have all of those skills, all those attributes that really are considered to be feminist. I find it extraordinary, in a weird way, that the debate's still going, but it always will be going. Slightly off on a tangent, but I think women are just not taken as seriously in the writing side of things. And it may be possibly when you look at a piece of fiction, women always write more about the home life, about giving birth, and maybe those are two icky subjects. But of course I think, really going off on a tangent, I have a great debate with a friend who used to be a journalist. If you read about violent women, it's picked up on a hell of a lot more than violent men, and I find that extraordinary. The battle of the sexes, I kind of have never really had it. I don't I hope I don't feel like I compete with men. I'm on an equal footage with them. But it's still, of a woman. Another discussion I had recently was women in the front line as soldiers. Again, that's not shocking to me, but it is a lot to others. Mm-hmm. And I guess it's the same thing. It's always going to be there. If you're a woman, you should be at home giving birth, possibly not out doing something. And I think that's all tied up with theatre. I think people don't want to address the sort of possibly the stereotypical view of women, the chick lit of the sort of early 90s. I don't really know what it is, but Naomi Wallace, she's the perfect case in point. The fact she's accused of being a political dinosaur, why women can't be political, is extraordinary. But she is just a very fluid, beautiful writer, very, very strong. So, yes, I admit, hand on heart, of course, I jumped on it. Yeah, I admit, because she was a woman playwright even. I was definitely more interested because of that. So I'm hoping it's going to get addressed. I mean, it is in the last couple of years, there's definitely a lot more going on for women. But, the fact that we're still having this debate kind of is a bit sad in a way, but I think we do need to have it. And hopefully it will get addressed, and the powers that be will get over the fact that there are women playwrights that just want to write because they're talented. So let's just hope it gets better and better. I'm sure it will. I think if we keep pushing, if Sam keeps doing it as well. As a female producer, do I look more at female theatre, whatever that might be? I guess I promisely I can't speak. I honestly probably do, actually. I mean, I've admitted already I totally jumped on the Naomi Wallace play One Flea Spare. Of course, because she was a woman. And yeah, you do. I guess is it a question of bigging up your sisters? I guess there's a little bit of that. Slightly sidestepping it, I'm producing a play with some, a very well-known playwright who happens to be male. But I was sitting there thinking, hey, where are the female directors? And of course, there's plenty out there. So it really, the 3 proposals for directors were originally all men. And being a woman, I certainly have now brought in some female directors into the pot, if you like. Yeah, definitely. And maybe, I guess the difference between the sexes, yes, of course. Woman to woman, I guess I understand a little bit more of what's going on possibly as a woman. So I will definitely support, going back to ACT UP, people that want to become actors, I really will look out for women because, I'm working in particular with 2 women that are single parents, and I know how hard it's going to be for them. It shouldn't be, but it really is. So I admit I kind of given them the big Gemma love because I really want to support them because I know how hard it's going to be. Friends that happen to be women that have children that are very sassy have been cast in a numerous amount of roles. As soon as they have children, they suddenly become the frumpy mums, which I just find extraordinary. So yes, I will champion women as much as men, and of course I will look out for them all, which I guess is a reason. Apart from that, One Flea Spare was an incredible play. The fact that it was written by a woman definitely interested me more, for sure. Yes. Yeah, we've just been talking about actually personal experience, a woman running a business. I still get phoned up and I'm still presumed to be the secretary, or can we speak to the boss? And I find that farcical. Personally as well, I'm often told I'm quite male, but I think that's actually just because I'm a woman in a position that actually can, work with other people, and it sometimes scares men, and I find that farcical. But something we've been really talking about, I think there still is a lack of female role models, mentors. I'm hoping Sam will give my details out to anyone because I really of the firm belief that there has to be people out there for people. I really do meet up. I really mean that. I will meet up with anyone and chat all day. I talk too much. So Sam will give out my email address because I think it's terribly important there's someone there to literally be there to talk to people, to support them through this. I guess my personal big role models was Mo Molan. I found her extraordinary woman. And Vivienne Westwood. Now, she's very feminine. She's a beautiful woman, but she's out and out proud a woman, but extraordinary. And I think, we've just been talking about present government. It's this very old school, very old conservative idea of women, and that's terrifying right now because that's putting us back, way back. So I think the lack of role models, it needs to be addressed so that people, women can really see that they can do the same thing and know there's people there for them. And it's okay again, talking about that, and possibly at the moment, because of the recession, there's a huge element of apathy in this country, and it's something we talked about before, you know, sitting in your kitchen ranting about, I need to get out there and do something. I think we're living in fear, but possibly we're letting it overwhelm us at the moment. So I think embrace the fear, bring it on, but get out there and stop this apathy, because if we don't keep creating, we're still going to be 17%, you know, less pay, 17% playwrights in this country. So I think, yeah, find those women that are there to support, and there are plenty out there. It's never a question of having to compete with men. I think we're pretty much equal. There's not much really between the sexes. I think we need to get over it all, and remember the likes of Mo Molan. And yes, she really did put herself out there. Vivienne Westwood, an extraordinary woman. I could go on and on, but as I keep saying, I'm very happy to talk to anyone to give them the support. So looking forward to meeting you all soon.